So you're looking to get your very first electric scooter. I'm going to be addressing today some very important things that you should know when you go to look for a second-hand electric scooter. This applies to e-bikes, it applies to EUCs. Please do watch this video if you are considering getting a second-hand. I see so many people getting burned these days, and it's so sad. They go out to spend so much money on an electric scooter to come home and to find out that there is big problems with that scooter and they don't really have a comeback on it. The first thing that we will be addressing is, of course, this applies even if you're buying a car, is to meet them at their house. It's very suspicious if you talk to somebody online and they don't want to meet you at their own home. They actually want to meet you at a car park, at a supermarket car park. This should raise an immediate red flag for you. So definitely, if your gut is telling you not to meet them, don't meet them in that case. Always meet at their home, because at least that way you know where they live and you have a bit of a comeback in case something really goes wrong after purchasing your electric scooter. Now, of course, another thing you should be considering when you go ahead and you buy your first scooter or EUC, whatever the case is to ask, do they actually have a receipt? A lot of the time, they should really have a receipt. This should be a digital receipt, because a lot of the time, these things are ordered online. So they should have a confirmation of the order. They should have the address of where the scooter is being sent to. So do ask. Don't be afraid to ask any of these questions, because it gives you out of peace of mind. You don't want to get burnt on one of these, because they are extremely expensive. So far we've covered meet them at their own home and ask, do they have a receipt? Let's get on to the next one. Of course, asking them, do they have a receipt, is one thing, but a lot of the time you actually get a manual with these. So again, do they have a manual with the electric scooter? And sometimes it would have a QR code on it as well. So a physical manual is often given, so don't be afraid to ask that question either. Now, a really good tip here is that if you're talking to somebody online and the communication seems like they just want to sell you that scooter, they don't seem to really want to talk much. They want to get you to meet them up, and they'll give you, I'm going to cover something actually important now as well, something that has been red flagged, is that if the communication is not there and they just want to get you to buy the scooter, they say, I'll give it to you at a really good price, come and meet me now and you can have it straight away today. That should be another red flag for you. Now, don't be afraid to ask this, because it's your first electric scooter or your first EUC. Do bring, and there's a scooter going right by me there, do bring an experienced rider with you. Somebody that actually has knowledge in this area. It's like if you're going to buy a car, often people would actually bring a mechanic along to inspect it, to make sure everything is working fine. So don't be afraid, even ask. If you don't even know anybody, go onto that Facebook group in your area and do ask, can somebody please come along and help me? Often the communities are quite strong. We're all quite helpful. We wouldn't mind going along, having a once look over, and I'm going to cover a few other tips now, but having a look over and having an experienced person there to point out things that you actually wouldn't even notice. Another major red flag would actually be, do they have the original charger with it? If they don't, that's a massive, that's something that you really have to consider. It would have to be the original charger. And if they say they don't have the charger, it often means that, well, that scooter is more than likely stolen. So if they do have the original charger, it's a good sign. Not only that, you need to check actually that the charger is working okay. So make sure you test that out as well. You can obviously bring a multimeter as well to test that out as well. So please check if they have the original charge and check if it's actually working okay. Now, you can ask this if everything looks okay so far, that they have the receipt, that the charger's working okay, everything else that I've just said already. You could ask to inspect the internals on the electric scooter, checking the battery, checking the controllers for water damage, for example. A lot of people, I'd imagine, would say it's okay to check it, but you will get some people saying, don't open the electric scooter in case you decide not to buy it. So a lot of people would probably a bit like, I'm not sure, do I let them open it, do I not let them open it? So you could ask that question, and often people who are genuine would say, yeah, no problem, take off the bottom plate so you can inspect everything thoroughly. And that's where the experienced rider will come in. They'll be able to see immediately if it's water damage, if anything's been replaced, if anything is on the way out, if everything is clear to go. So the next major red flag would be actually checking the voltage on this. You could ask, before you actually go to meet up with that person, can you fully charge it for me? You could say that. For example, if it's a 52 volt scooter, a full charge would be around 58.8 volts, give or take maybe 0.1, 0.2 volts in between, for example. when you go to have a look at the voltage, sometimes the voltage is actually displayed, for example, on the Barrel Eagle 1, it's displayed on the unit right here, or it's actually displayed on the throttle display, for example. So that's obviously a really good sign. But of course, you don't want to make sure that the voltage is not dropping way too quick, because that could mean that there could be a BMS issue, there could be a few cells gone, that type of thing. So making sure that it's fully charged and it's stable and it's holding that charge. The last point is probably going to be the most important one of this whole thing, but the next one would be, if everything is looking good so far, you bring it on a test run. Now, what should you be testing on this? Well, first of all, if it's on an electric scooter, you should be testing the brake. You should be seeing if the pads are in good condition. You should see if the discs are warped on it or if they're absolutely fine. You should also make sure that the stem on it has no creaking and it is completely stable and that everything is being held together. You should also make sure that the bearings are okay on the wheels, that there's no squealing, that there's no wobbling or anything like that. Making sure that all the nuts are absolutely perfect. Check your kickstand. Of course, the lights, this is my Varla Pegasus, but the backlight on mine is completely screwed. But obviously, if you go to have a look at a second-hand electric scooter and the lights are completely gone, you're going to need to replace them. So make sure that all the lights are working, that the voltage is okay. Make sure that the suspension is in good condition if it does have suspension. If it does have dual motors like the Varla Pegasus here, make sure that both motors are spinning perfect and there's no warping or anything like that. And also check the speed on it, whatever the capable speed is. For example, on this Varla Pegasus here, the top speed that I can get on this is 38 to 40 kilometers per hour. So again, doing these little checks will give you that added peace of mind that everything is looking good so far. Now, the last point, it's probably too good to be true. The reason why I say this is where I live, there are so many electric scooters, unfortunately, getting stolen all over the place. And you have to be really careful who you're buying from. And I know there's a lot of young people out there on these electric scooters, EUCs, e-bikes, and it's great to see. But often they do get stolen from people in their own hands. Or I've seen, I'm pretty sure you've seen on YouTube, on Facebook, that they get cut away after being locked up, on a bike rack or something like that. It is definitely unfortunate. So if you see an electric scooter that second hand could be potentially worth €1,200 and they're asking €300-400 for it, it's a red flag. If it's too good to be true, completely walk away from it and wash your hands. You might need to save this video, maybe share it with your friends if they're thinking of buying an electric scooter or an EUC. But please do watch out for these things. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a like. You can click on the other videos that I've shown up on screen right now. In the meantime, stay safe on your electric scooter, EUC e-bike, and I'll talk to you in the next video.